Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the channel. My name is Taoist Master San Qing, and we are taking a closer look at another feat, an amazing example of mind magic. That's right, we're looking at the one and only David Blaine. David Blaine and his magic, his integration of a lot of ancient tools that he's taken from his adventures around the world and uh, being taught and trained by masters that have been given these incredible feats of what seems to be impossible, but in actuality, looking at from an Eastern perspective and understanding a lot of these practices being developed for thousands of years. And like myself, we're handing these down to share with a new generation, getting them to understand the power and magic of the human mind and the human being's ability to be unlimited. That's right. Yes. So David Blaine is an incredible example of that. He's very versed in many different practices and developments of certain types of skills that we would consider in the world, the Western world, something almost impossible in its nature. But in actuality, being heavily trained myself in things of internal alchemy, internal energy practices that are developing the outer layer, the external perception of the outer world, and how you can develop these skills yourself just by being shown what to do. So David Blaine is a fantastic example. We're going to go over that today. We're going to deep dive into it and take a closer look. And I'm going to give you a little insight into how he's performing these incredible feats of what seems to be impossible. When we start to understand this, ladies and gentlemen, the human being is abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. And it only starts with you and your ability to change your perception, that your potential of what you can do, how you can do, when you can do, where you can do, is completely left up to you and your perception. And that's exactly what we're going to do here today. So we're going to deep dive into the mind magic of David Blaine. Let's take a closer look at this incredible example of a master at what he does and how he does these incredible feats, these impossible feats that people consider to be superhuman. And they are, because this is a mindset, ladies and gentlemen. This is a mindset that anyone can obtain, and you are going to be an observer of that. So let's take a closer look at Mr. David Blaine.
2 years later, Blaine performed his first endurance stunt. He was buried alive for 7 days and 7 nights with no food. Theories such as the use of a hologram were so pervasive that even his friends began to wonder if it was fake. It was real. 1 year later, Blaine was encased in a giant block of ice.
Well, 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 let's just start off with the greatest hits of David Blaine. So this is a great example. What's most important is how much in vogue simple sort of things that are a magical example of the incredible feats that the human being or the human body can perform when given the appropriate tools. Now, being able to sit or lay underground in a coffin for 7 days without food or water is absolutely magical, but absolutely possible. Have you ever heard of fasting? Well, fasting is a great example today in this day and age, and what people are doing more commonly. You start out with someone like himself who can then reduce his heart rate through specific mastering techniques. I.e., I'm not going to divulge everything, but let's just start with some real basic stuff so I can get you to understand. He's hypnotizing himself to reduce his heart rate. His respiratory system is slowing down, and then his need to devour or consume energy is down to a minimum. So when you train in these practices, and he's, for example, I'm not going to go into it too deep, but let's just say he's hypnotizing himself to reduce his heart rate, his respiratory rate, and ultimately his body has the ecosystem, the internal alchemy to actually become even more energized as he lays there over a 7-day period. So what you would do when you're going into an incredible feat like this is to make sure that you have the appropriate body fluid and body fat levels so you can sustain a feat of what seems to be impossible but is actually very possible by fasting for 7 days and by reducing his breath and his heart rate. It is limiting the amount of energy that he's expending. Now, he can go into some very ancient practices, which I'm absolutely positive and can see that he's doing, which entails a lot of internal alchemy and cultivating energy and running it through the energy centers, the basically energy architecture, the energy architecture of the human body. So he's basically as happy as a clam, very dormant and laying there and actually energizing himself for 7 days. What an amazing feat, and completely possible as a human being. Let's look closer at where he's at on his next feat, which is going to be absolutely mind-blowing.
The heart of Times Square for 3 days and 3 nights. After 63 hours, suffering severe pain and extreme hallucinations, he was removed from the ice and rushed to the hospital. It took him months to recover. A year and a half later, Blaine stood on a pillar 22.
Again, let's go back to the basics. You're looking at somebody who is, again, recirculating what is already present within his physical body, using energetics to basically compensate. And when you fast, as most people will realize, if they're fasting for any extended period of time, you gather energy, you don't lose energy. So in this situation, the way he was recycling the energy, using his body as fuel, because when you are not feeding yourself with food or basically distracting your body with consuming and digesting food, you actually increase your energy levels. So he was recycling the energy in a fasted state, and also the thermogenics of the process of being exposed to cold temperature, which would have gone deeper and deeper into his training leading up to that. And then we can go into the synergy of the energy and the hormones that he's producing through the fasting process, and ultimately what is sustaining his energy using this third program, which basically your body shifts into, which is what they call autophagy. We get a feat, an incredible feat that seems virtually impossible, and only David Blaine could accomplish that. And in most cases, the ancient practices that he's using to internalize everything and cycle those energies internally are not available to most people. I will put it that way. Another incredible feat, and he continues to do so. Let's look on.
2 inches wide and 100 feet tall above Bryant Park. After 35 hours, severely dehydrated, sleep deprived, he concluded the stunt by jumping down into a pile of cardboard boxes and suffered a concussion and a fractured rib. The following year, sealed in a plexiglass box.
Again, another feat. Now, understanding energetics, the basic understanding of energetics, and let's just reference in Taoism, when we call them energy centers. In Hinduism, you would call them chakras, more commonly known as chakras. He is basically running his energy, keeping the fluidity of his let's reference meridians, which are energy sources and channels that are running through the physical body. Again, another feat, recirculating the energy, slowing down the heart rate, slowing down the need for any other source. So he's having an out-of-body experience when he's standing there for 35 hours. He has the ability to take his attention away from his physical body. It's no longer internal. It's no longer external. He is way out of the space of time and space continuum. This is where he's accessing the quantum and quite easily sourcing those energies, running them up and down, and keeping him stable and actually grounded with the earth so that he doesn't fall forward. And his attention was laser focused at that point, even before he jumped off the tower or wherever he was standing. Anyway, moving right along, let's take a look at the next feat.
Suspended high in the air next to the Tower Bridge in London, Blaine fasted on nothing but water for 44 days. When it was over, Blaine's doctor, convinced that he had somehow cheated, administered an IV drip full of nutrients. His phosphate levels spiked and he nearly died. A short while later, he co-authored an academic paper about his feat with that very...
Again, we're talking about this in a social setting. 44 days fasting is an incredible feat, not an impossibility. And he is looking at doing a lot of internal stuff that keeps him completely in tune with the universe and the ground. And so when he's running that energy internally, which is a practice that he's basically developed and discovered through many different masters he's trained under throughout the world, he's doing something that is virtually impossible. And personally, I would not have recommended him attempting a fast of 44 days with someone as such low body fat, but the hormones are being regulated. There's a lot of different things going on, ladies and gentlemen, within the physical body that creates a homeostasis that you can sustain yourself. Now, of course, we go from fat to muscle tissue being the end result. But when you're not moving, the energy can stay quite heightened. And of course, what we're reflecting on, drinking water after a 44-day stint is extremely dangerous. Do not do this at home. Seek medical advice if you're even thinking about doing fasting of any kind. But he was using his internal alchemy and running the energy through his meridians to sustain that level of consciousness and focus throughout those 44 days. An incredible feat. Another example of how unlimited he really is. Let's move on.
Same doctor. Following this experience, Blaine wanted to go one step further. After a vigorous year of training, he spent 7 consecutive days in a water-filled sphere in New York City, the longest submersion underwater ever recorded. On the second day, suffering from mild organ failure, Blaine rejected multiple attempts by his medical team to end the stunt. On the last day, while handcuffed, Blaine attempted a world record breath hold. 7 minutes in, he began blacking out, and divers jumped in to save his life. All right. Determined to succeed.
Just another greatest hits. This guy is a classic example of mind over matter. He's doing a lot of ancient practice, internal practices to be able to gain that focus and concentrate the energy to sustain his physical body. A very, very, very powerful mind-body connection. I can leave it at that without revealing the ancient practices, but let's just say he's using the internal alchemy to continue to stay within the focus that he needs to achieve the goal. What an incredible feat of impossible.
He trained relentlessly for the next 2 years. On April 30, 2008, pushing through excruciating pain and ischemia to the heart, he shattered the world record by holding his breath underwater for 17 minutes and 4 seconds, live on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Over the next few years,
again, another incredible feat, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest. The breath holding mechanism is a respiratory training that you go deep into, and being able to expel the amount of CO2 within your blood and increase the oxygen level. It is a very, very deep internal alchemy training starts from the mind, gets deep into the pineal gland, and then we are talking about the measure of mind over magic, but understanding that this guy is using his body the most efficiently. And I have seen personally this guy exceed that record that we have on this particular track to over 18 minutes. It's just incredible to witness. What a profound, amazing example of a human being that is showing you that anything is possible, and anything is possible if you understand how to obtain the access to it. And this is what David Blaine is doing. What an amazing example of that. Let's look on.
Blaine shot a bullet into his mouth twice, withstood 1,000,000 volts of electricity continuously for 3 days, and resuscitated an act that killed a man 100 years prior, involving swallowing a deadly amount of water and kerosene and spouting them out at will. He has also shoved an ice pick through his hands and biceps.
Okay, now we're going to go back on some of those previous feats, but let's just get to the one where he's piercing himself with a sharp object, whether it's through his arm, whether it's through his face, as we've stopped here on this example. Another incredible internal training has a lot to do, once again, with accessing the deeper parts of your unconscious. And we are going into a deep trance, i.e. self-hypnosis, where he's obtaining a level of what they like to call anesthesia that is being brought on through his ability to remove himself from the actual event that's taking place. And that's incredible training. And that would also control the blood flow and a lot of other things. This is another ancient practice that we practice within Nigong and Qigong. It's an incredible feat. Do not do this at home. Understand that this man has been training for years, and what an incredible example of that. Bravo. I'm just absolutely beyond words when it comes to examining the feats of David Blaine. And he is just an incredible inspiration for anybody that wants to believe that things are not possible, anything is not possible. Again, let's resort back to the simplicity of, if you think it, it is possible. If you build it, they will come. That is the simplicity of what's going on here. Now, he's been trained extensively in this internal alchemy that he can pull at will the ability to penetrate his physical flesh with a sharp object. This is intensive training, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody can achieve that goal. Now, the question is do you have access to that information? So he has. I understand it. I know it. And I am very, very grateful to be able to witness it here today. What another incredible feat. Let's move on.
Sewed his mouth shut and stored the same 3 frogs in his stomach thousands of times. Eaten over 30 pounds of glass. Performed thousands of breath holds, averaging 10 minutes each.
Again, hit after hit, ladies and gentlemen, of a guy that has completely mastered his mind. He is in complete control of what is taking place within his physical body. And again, this all comes down to perception. We get right back to the basis of everything that we know and everything that we do here at the channel, which is energy, which is frequency, which is vibration. And this is an example of this. What an incredible example of being able to master these skills. And it does come. Now, I will be very clear that what he has obtained, what he has achieved, is possible for anybody, but you must seek the appropriate training, ladies and gentlemen, to achieve these goals, which, of course, David has. And he has never, ever, ever left this train of thought throughout his whole life. If you know anything about David Blaine, understand this. One of the simple few things that he reminds himself of when he was a very young boy that dove him into the magic and the idea of generating magic, creating magic, the illusion, the reality that anything is possible, is that he does reference, I believe, something that his mother said, but it was more to, if you put your mind to it, anything is possible. And I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what he lives by, what he breathes by, and it's evident in how he's performing. What an incredible feat. What an amazing feat. Let's listen on.
And gained and lost the weight of 6 grizzly bears. There are those who say, you're a magician. Why not just stick with magic instead of these feats? But David believes that pushing through the pain to achieve what seems impossible is a more gratifying form of magic.
No. Let's be very clear. What this man is an incredible example of someone who is completely selfless. I want you to understand what he has achieved. And if you ever come across him as a personally, you will come to realize very quickly that this guy is giving. He is giving in every sense of the word. He wants to share this incredible, amazing information with others. And he wants to hope to leave a legacy where someone else can achieve these goals and take it beyond what he has achieved, which to 99.9% of the population, an impossible feat. And it comes right back to the simplicity of this, ladies and gentlemen. If you put your mind to it, anything is possible. Let's not layer it in any other complexity. That is the truth, and that is why this guy is so brilliant. Let's wrap this up with an incredible closing. Let's hear what he's got to say.
It's caused me a lot of worry over the years. I guess I have to agree with it.
Oh, that punch. I do have to speak on this. That punch you just witnessed from Kimbo Slice, I think, unfortunately. Rest in peace. That gentleman, unfortunately, has passed away recently in the last 10 years. My condolences to his friends and family. What an incredible, that guy was brute force, an example of a magnetizing amount of force and energy that he was able to concentrate. And it was evident in his fighting career and how powerful this guy was. I mean, they've measured it. And this guy's hit was something that you don't want to take. You'd rather take the hit from a moving vehicle than the punch directly from this beast of a human being. What an incredible athlete Kimbo Slice is. But let's regress back to what happened when he received that punch. David Blaine received that punch to his lower abdominal area, a direct hit. Now, if you do not understand how to deflect energy, and he is using quite a few different principles of energizing your field, your aura that we're speaking on, we've spoke on many times. He's generating that energy and rippling it out through his aura, through his physical body, so that when that incredible athlete, Kimbo Slice, connected with him with that brute force, he was giving it everything that he has. And I think they've measured the foot-pounds of pressure that guy's punch is like something you do not want to warrant for any sense of the imagination or time having his fist directly hit you. But let me tell you, he's using a lot of internal alchemy practices, i.e. Iron Fist training. Now, Iron Fist training, in a nutshell, has to do with strengthening the outer field that is what you physically cannot see. Most human beings will not be able to witness with their naked eye. You can be trained in seeing and feeling the vibrations and energy from the heart, but that's what David Blaine took place. He was able to ripple that energy out through his outer field to deflect and to diminish the amount of impact when Kimbo Slice hit him. It was unbelievable. That I wouldn't wish on anyone. And David walked away from that, what seemed like without a scratch. Now, anyone else would have had internal bleeding and probably passed away. So that is an incredible feat. I want people to understand what it takes to be able to energize your aura to a level that will deflect a physical punch. It's that's some mastery right there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so yes, we went through David Blaine's greatest hits. I would have to say he's an incredible example of a master of what he does, which is showing you that anything is possible. And this is what we do here at this channel: energy, frequency, vibration. This is what we talk about. This is what we integrate. This is how we elevate your consciousness through the tools of the way and your ability to realize that you have the power within you. Now, this guy is an incredible example. I'm very humbled and very grateful to be able to do an overview and take a closer look at David Blaine. Now, we can read his aura. I'm going to just say it as simply as possible. What an incredible human being. His energy that he emits out into his field, out into the universe, is so much of kind love, sharing, selflessness, giving, gratitude. So grateful to be alive, so grateful to share with others. Now, that, my friends, is the key to true happiness, being content, being grounded, being complete. This is what life is about. And when you attach yourself to a knowing about how powerful you are as an individual, and you do what David Blaine does, which is basically he gives. He's an incredibly selfless person. And we're talking about information that people would spend priceless amounts of money for to obtain the access to. And I have people all the time looking for that information. I have integrated a lot of incredible ancient tools that will help you access your own ability to be conscious and possibly go down the path of what David Blaine has achieved. And that is the large list of mastery. And let's just start with realizing how powerful you are as an individual. And that comes with you knowing who you are and knowing where you're going. And consciousness is key, ladies and gentlemen. So if we are to walk away from this incredible gift that David has given us today, is to realize that your mind is limitless, abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite, and anything is possible if you put your mind to it. Well, I'm your host, Taoist Master San Qing. I'm signing off here. I'm very grateful that you've taken the time to come in here and take a closer look and pay homage to an incredible, amazing human being that is showing that the world that anything is possible, and then you can tap into your abilities. You're limitless if you just put your mind to it. I'm Taoist Master San Qing, and I want to thank you for coming in here on this little journey. If you could hit the subscribe and like button, and go ahead and below this video, give me your thoughts on what you think is necessary to become unlimited, to become superhuman, and that what your thoughts of how much David Blaine is giving back to the world. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.